Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of the Anything Wrestling Podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in. We are back today with another episode. It is not a triple threat today. It is a straight up one-on-one match. It is the Shant and...
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is the Commish. I will be the advocate of this episode, and I will be going one-on-one with the Shant one.
I like that.
So let's get it on.
Well, let it be noted that you can catch all your favorite WWE programming only on the WWE Network for a non-negotiable but very reasonable price of only $9.99.
$9.99.
It's not $10.
It's not $1,000. It's not $1 million.
But
it's only
$9.99.
I think we're getting better.
Slowly but surely. Unlike Ronda.
Okay, so we're kind of in a standstill lately because if Dan was here to debate with us, he would have a lot to say as well. Because if you guys may not know about Dan, he is a very good writer. He does have a very good creative imagination when it comes to anything he works on, whether it's wrestling related or even like some of his not off the wall stuff, but like more like out of this podcast stuff, like all his like movie stuff that he's into and things
all
like
his
that,
production things that he does.
Yeah. And we can agree with him that there's been a lot since the last time we ever really discussed Monday Night Raw, which was back in September 13th. Can you agree?
Yeah, we usually touch on Raw just here and there, but in that episode we had a chance to kind of go back and really discuss how we felt about it.
Because we were legitimately discussing like the never-ending battle of what brand is the superior brand between Raw and SmackDown, and it seems like for once the balance of power has shifted to what used to be the B show, what used to be the Rock's show, which has now become the A show, according to Shane McMahon, which, in all honesty, we can't deny.
We all agree.
But we agree, but we don't agree to disagree. We agree to agree in the fact that it seems like things have gotten really askewed within the last, I want to say, literally 4 months.
Yeah.
Like right before TLC, too. Because it just seems like, well, not TLC number 2, but TLC as well. Yeah. But it seems like there's a lot going on right now where it's just like, why is this so bland? Why am I like on my phone more? Why am I not caring about storylines? You know, what's going on?
Yeah, we've gone on record to say, and I think basically a lot of other people can agree with us, that SmackDown for the last 5 or 6 months has been consistent. It's been the better show. It's done a better job of making sure that, hey, we got 6 or 7 stories right now that are probably going to make it on pay-per-view. Let's build it up. Let's give everyone airtime.
We have the ability as well to include people not involved said storyline, but also, hey, we have other talent here that plays a critical role in the story, or if not, the brand itself. And that's just the thing to say, where it's like, what is Raw doing that SmackDown isn't doing? Well, SmackDown's not being corny. It's not having to rely on its like older former talent as much as it used to.
Yeah.
It's developing the younger talent along with the current talent to come up. What else? Like, name some of the things that you found in the last 4 months that you don't like about Raw.
Well, first of all, no consistency. We will see something one week, then we go to the next week, and it's a complete 180. There is absolutely no consistency. You have, stars like The Revival, stars like Ember Moon, who will be on Raw one week, and okay, they have a match, and then for the next 2 weeks, they're nowhere to be found.
Or for some reason, they have the exact same match they had 2 weeks ago all over again, and it's like, didn't we just see that?
despite a lot of the audience expressing their disapproval. And it sometimes seems like they're like, yeah, we hear you booing, but guess what? We're giving it to you again. I mean,
So what does that say to you?
that they're not listening.
Okay.
They say that, we're listening to our fans, be vocal, tweet, let us know how you feel. And it's like, yeah, we've been doing that for a couple years now, but guess what? You're not listening. And the really ironic part is that I feel like if you talk to, the next guy, they'll tell you that, if you have more time, you'll do a better job.
If you think about the things that are going on, what does that tell you? Like, are we not caring about the universe like we say we are? Are we not giving them the attention they deserve? Like, what are you guys doing as a brand, as an overall company? Because this has been the longest lasting show you guys have had for more than 20 years.
Yeah.
Like, I literally am growing up on this still. And I'm tuning out. Or I'm like, even before the show starts, I can text you and I'll be like, hey, how many times do you think I'm going to see Drew, Dolph, and Braun tonight? Or how many times do you think I'm going to hear that annoying raccoon tonight?
Yeah.
Or how many times do you think we're going to see the elect manager? Or when is Kurt finally getting rid of? Like, it's like, it's predictable. But not in a good way.
I think that back in the Attitude Era, they literally took the time to build each and every part of the show. Whether if you were the main event, the mid-card, if you were a tag team or a singles competitor, everyone was being built up equally. Like, okay, let's now open it up with, a Val Venus segment. Then we'll go on to a tag team match. Then we'll have, like a main event, match, that ends abruptly and then has to be restarted. However, I feel like now it's like, okay, who's our 3 stars? Okay, well, let's write in their segments first, and then, whatever time that we have remaining for filler, we'll just put in a ridiculous 20-minute promo from Mouse Rat got my ass kicked and came to WWE and lie about this being my first passion.
Wow.
And she can ramble on about that for the next 20 minutes, talking very boringly to the point where no one cares. So I feel like, like even not even Attitude Era, like Ruthless Aggression Era, it's like every single part of the show was built up equally. Everyone was allotted time. Now it's like, okay, well, let's see who our top 3 contenders are. Okay, well, let's write their segments. Oh, we have about 40 minutes to fill in. Okay, we'll have 2 squash matches with local competitors and a pointless 5-minute promo segment.
Wow. All right, that described it all right there. But he's not wrong. Do you see the trend of how things work now on Raw? Do you see the unfortunate events of like, oh, this is how we're doing things? It's like Dan has always said, and I know you guys have heard him say it. Let's just throw shit on the wall, see what sticks. Oh, that sticks. I'm going to write as much as I can about it. Work with what I give you. It's shit. It's literal shit.
And the most astounding part is the fact that in 2 hours, not even an hour and 45 minutes, SmackDown gets everything in. Raw has 2 hours and roughly 45 minutes. And 2/3 of their entire show is nothing but filler. How can we kill time? I think that if you want to bring Raw, back on its feet, you got to go back to 2 hours. Because let's face it, in 2018, the attention span of most people is not very long. If you have not hooked them within a minute or 2 minutes, people are going to go on their phones, or they're going to flip the channel, or they're going to, stop
they're
watching.
Done.
Yeah, they're done.
They're just checked out. And that's the sad part. It's like you don't want someone to check out so fucking quickly and abruptly. You want someone there focused on like watching, and it's like, okay, they're invested. They're following stories. They're becoming fans of either faces or heels. They're buying merch. Like, you want the appeal. You want the audience. But it seems like Raw's just like, we'll get him back. Let's just bring John Cena next week. Or let's bring Shawn and Triple H back for DX. Let's have a DX night. Or, like, you come up with like, okay, what do we have to do to keep people, but not give a shit about them at the same time. And it seems like that's what's been going on. It's kind of annoying as fuck, if you think about it.
I believe I mentioned it on an episode where I said Raw is very dependent on two things. Number one is the part-timers coming in and giving everyone a attitude era / ruthless aggression, cheap pop and a nostalgic act. Number two is instead of allowing the WWE superstars to speak from the heart, speak in character, they are handed notes and they are told, oh, this happened last week on Total Divas, you're going to bring that up and you're going to go with it. You think about when the women competitors are in the ring, oh, so-and-so left you, or it sucks to know that, your father has passed away and we're going to, use that as bait. I think it's very heavy in that direction, which kind of kills it. It's like, can't we just hand them a mic and just let them talk? Let them be the CM Punks and Becky Lynch's of their own?
Apparently not, because it seems like there's no faith in the wrestlers themselves, because if that's the case, why aren't they getting the same time to go to developmental and learn how to cut a promo? Like, why do you have to have someone come in and save you because they know how to cut a promo?
Because Vince doesn't have any trust in his employees and wants to be a control freak.
And that's pretty bad on his part. And not just on his, but the staff itself. Because it's like, you have the right people. Why can't you get them sent back? That's what happened in the past. A lot of athletes with a lot of superstars. And it seemed like it worked. Now it's just like, they're here. Work with this. I don't know what you want. Just work with it. You're fine. But if you suck at it, I'm gonna send someone out to interrupt you. But even then, the person you send out sucks just as bad. And it's just like, oh well, I'm just gonna fucking just sit here and not give a shit anymore at this point.
And I will also tell you this. Personally, my philosophy is, sometimes I go back and I watch, Attitude Era backstage segments or Ruthless Aggression Era backstage segments. And I've come to the conclusion that it's true what they say, less is more. I feel like they go out of their way so much now for these backstage segments or in-ring segments that it either winds up being so underwhelming or so over the top.
Well, do you remember in most of the stuff they did, it seemed as if, you didn't need 5-10 minutes of a segment as far as, to add on to the story. You could have gotten away with 30 seconds to, 3 minutes.
Yeah.
And that would be fine. And I think that's one of the reasons why sometimes, as I'm revisiting everything I'm revisiting, I don't have to watch all the matches in their entirety, because it's they're competitive as it is, and I can watch most of the match. But if it's where I know where it's going, I'll skip it. If it's not a championship match, I'll skip it, and it'll go right to back to the story, and it's I remember that segment. Oh, that's funny, or that adds to the drama of it. I love it, and that builds up the match even bigger. Now it's just I'm gonna have a segment with Nia and Tamina, and they're gonna just be dumb and think they're running everything, but that's all I'm gonna do with it. It's they already do that outside on the ring, and it's boring there too. And so what do you get?
One of the beautiful parts is that within a Raw episode or a SmackDown episode, they would have multiple backstage segments, and they would tell the story in one night. One of the best examples of this personally that stands out to me is when the old Stone Cold returns. You have all these backstage segments of Austin is at a local bar and he's conflicted, and Vince goes trying to bait him to come back, and then Team WWF has this solidarity rally where they're trying to amp everybody up. Next thing you know, there's a tag team match going on, and then Austin, we see him go from the bar, and there's this buildup of where he's backstage, he's just coming into the arena. Oh, he's getting closer. He's beating people up as he's coming. Finally, that glass breaks. He comes to the ring and he kicks ass. And in the span of one night, they tell you that story.
And they don't have to do it, and I'm assuming you took this from the Invasion line.
Yeah.
So, if you guys remember that Raw episode where things were getting heated for the WWF versus the Alliance, well, before they were known as that, as WCW Wrestling, and my favorite, ECW, ECW, ECW. You remember that you see Austin in a bar. Cut. Come back to him. Oh, Vince is there to cheer him up. Cut. He's still there drinking alone. Cut. He's watching The Undertaker's speech. Cut. He's trying to play pool, not caring if he's going to come back. Decides to, I've had enough.
Yeah.
Cut. Everything's breaking down between WWF and the Alliance. We're outside in the parking lot. Stone Cold comes in. Do you realize in that whole 2-hour show, you told a great story about a man who's divided in his feelings of whether or not he's going to represent his company or jump ship,
right,
or betray him.
Yeah.
That's good story. That's setting a plot. That's doing a build-up. There's a twist. There's everything an actual script has in place. And we don't get that anymore. We just get, well, we're giving you the plot, but that's all it is. We don't have no climax. We don't have no anticlimactic point. Nothing. You get what you get. Where's the build-up? Where's the development of the character?
Yeah.
Where's the divide? You get shit now. And I think that's what frustrates Dan as a writer, because he sees it coming to life, and it's like, oh, I could have done this. I could twist this up. I can make this more, but I can expand it in a 3-hour goddamn show. But apparently, WWE has lost that, for Raw at least. For SmackDown,
SmackDown is much better with those backstage segments.
Can you give me one recent? Because I have so many I can think of. But
well, one that comes to mind was the Daniel Bryan and Miz feud, where Miz was just talking, and he's like, "Oh, Daniel Bryan is this, that," and next thing you know, Daniel Bryan comes and attacks, and Miz has 2 security guards. Daniel starts battling those. Miz gets a glass vase with flowers in it, and just chucks it over Daniel Bryan's head. And I'm like, yes, that's exactly what you need, is because WWE is so heavy on the story being told only inside the ring, not realizing that what really makes a story is not only what goes on inside of it, but everything that goes on outside of it. Another example that I can give you is all of Paige's segments backstage. It's to the point, it drives somewhere, it goes somewhere, like the Shinsuke and AJ segment where they're signing the contract, and he's like, the pen is broken, and just throws it at AJ. I thought that was some great stuff.
Because it's added in, piece by piece, bit by bit.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be this long, boring 5-minute thing. It was build up. It's adding on to their already heated, somewhat rivalry, somewhat relationship.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure off screen they're okay with each other somehow. Maybe not the best of friends, but still hey, they're gonna remember us in 20 years and talk about our rivalry.
Yeah.
But you see how SmackDown has taken that same ability to create a story and develop it into something even bigger.
Yeah. I
don't think we're getting that anymore with Raw, and it sucks because it's where do you go at this point? I don't know. I would like to think something happens after TLC, but your guess is as good as mine. What would you? Okay, granted, this is a brief explanation of how we feel, but what would you want to see change? Honestly, what would you want to see happen?
I think that they need to. Raw needs to borrow a page out of SmackDown's book. Is that you need to have an authoritative figure, just one, not 10 different people. One who's a constable, one who's a commissioner, one who's a GM, one who's the owner of the thing. Have one person that's an authoritative figure that's making the matches, making the rulings, And second thing is, allow for the wrestlers to come out of their shell. You try to cage every single one of them by scripting all their promos, by scripting everything they do. Let these people expand, because I can guarantee you a lot of them have great ideas. Maybe some of them don't have great ideas, and that's fine. They can run it, they can run it through with an agent or whatever. But allow for them to come out and expand, because you look back at Attitude Era, Ruthless Aggression Era, every single character knew who they were. Mm-hmm. They didn't need you to feed them lines. They knew what their catchphrases were, what their gimmick was, why they're doing what they're doing. Everyone had a drive. Everyone had a motive for why they're doing what they're doing. Now it's like everyone is just bland. It's like, okay, I'm here. I'm here too. I'm going after the title. You're going after the title too? Okay, cool. I'll see you on Raw. Yeah. But it's like, back in Attitude Era, what? The Rock is trying to get ahead of me. Triple H is trying to get ahead of me.
Like, I'm the game.
Yeah.
I'm the man. I deserve it more than The Rock does. Why isn't it my time?
Exactly.
Oh, okay. If that's the case, who's the baddest one in here? Oh, The Undertaker. Okay, let me go kick his ass for a while. Like, you saw, I think even they wrote some of their own stuff, or they found a way to, like, hey, I'm gonna go do this for the show. And they knew how to sell it. I think I can agree that there needs to be a change up in regards to, like, how the wrestlers themselves can take somewhat control.
Yeah.
But not to make it too bland. They still need direction. But it would be nice to see something different than the usual shit that I've seen in the last, like, what? It was December now, right?
Yeah.
So from September 13th, the last episode we talked about this, so October, November, like 3 months. It's just been literal garbage. Granted, there was garbage pay-per-views in between, too.
Well, I mean, that's another thing, too, is that the pay-per-views are not...
They don't lead into the story so well. They don't finalize things, or they just leave things to be like, okay, now we're going to battle it out, and we're done. And go from here. Oh, we don't know to go from here, and we're done. You know what I mean? It's just shit.
Or, I mean, they'll have, like, they'll have conclusion A for the pay-per-view, and then you go to Raw, and it's like, oh, we're going all the way, to Q. And it's like, wait a second.
What happened?
What happened in between? Oh, we're just turning the whole thing 180.
So we're skipping C through P? What happened to everything in between? No, we're fine at Q. Sure. But yeah, I think there really does need to be like a shake-up at this point.
I do believe so too. And I guess we'll just have to see. Because the ratings are plummeting, the buy rates are plummeting. As bad as it sounds, it's like you don't need another company to threaten your company for you to do better. You don't need another WCW coming up, from the ranks, threatening to buy your company out for you to make better storyline. You can do it now if you really wanted to. Mm-hmm. And if people out there are like, oh, the magic is gone, NXT is that one thing, much like Attitude Era, where there's character development, consistent storylines, there's something interesting going on frequently, and every single one of their pay-per-views deliver. A lot of people even go on record to say that a lot of the NXT TakeOver pay-per-views have outdone and beaten the last couple WrestleManias, and that's telling you something.
That's putting a stamp on it.
So, final sentiments before we wrap up?
I think there just need...
Well, if they came up to you and said, what are we changing? It's the ball's in your court. What is the first thing that you want us to change? What direction are we supposed to go in? What would you tell them? What do you feel like needs to be done now?
Give me a story. Literally, give me someone new to write. Give me somebody that's invested in talent as far as everyone you have on the roster. Not the main six of the main event or the quarter end of a pay-per-view event. Give me everybody else. Give me everybody else first. Give me a new writing staff. And give me newer directions to go with championships. Oh, and Brock Lesnar has to be here. No more of this part-time shit. No. You're either the Universal Champion and you're here talking shit, defending your belt, or you're not here. You're gone. Stay in UFC. Give us the belt, and we'll actually do something with it, or get rid of it to put the budget back into a lot of other shit. That's the very first. I know it's a lot to ask, but it's the very first thing I would do.
I would say that even coming out on Raw and introducing like a new era, saying that this is the blank era now, I think that's an introduction that you need. It's like just to let everybody know that we're going in a new direction. It's a new era with new management, you know, and new superstars and new match types, new, fresh. Nothing that's beaten up.
Is this what you would want?
This is what I would want.
If they gave you the ball.
Yep.
Okay.
Introduce a new era and say, okay, things have sucked for a while. We're starting a new era, clean slate, and we're moving forward.
Okay, I can agree with that. Let's just hope it happens.
Sometimes you can just hope. So there you go, guys. We discussed our personal sentiments about, you know, the recent, TV show of, Monday Night Raw, and, what the content that it's been producing lately and what we thought about it, what we would like to see change. Let us know what you guys think in the comment section below, and we will see you all next time.